TP Action, it's great to see you. How are you doing today? Are you glad to be here? Are you excited? I'm excited. Oh, this is awesome. Hey, you've been listening to a lot of speakers. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just stand up for a second, stretch a little bit. That's right. Turn to the person next to you and say, I love America. I love America. Now turn to the other person and say, let's go, Brandon. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. News media friends. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, that's awesome. It's awesome. You can sit down. It is so good to see you. It is so good to be with you today. I tell you what, it is always good to be among God-fearing, patriotic Americans. Or as Joe Biden calls you, extremists who threaten our democracy. The only extremist who's a threat to democracy is in the White House, amen? I mean, that's where the problem is, right there. Listen, I want to talk to you this morning in the time we've got together. I want to get away from some of the usual political stuff. I just want to talk to you really personally, if I could, about this moment of crisis that we're in as a nation and our responsibility to bring this nation through it. Can I do that for just a few minutes? For just a few minutes. Because here's the truth. I think we've got to tell the truth about the time that we're in. Here's the truth. That we are gathered here today at a critical moment in the history of our republic. And it's not just a critical moment for our country, it is a critical moment in the history of liberty, because the truth is, God has chosen this nation at this time in history to carry the torch of liberty for all the world. That's what it means. That's what it means to be American exceptionalists. And you know, our friends in the media and on the left, they just don't get it. They say that, oh, American exceptionalism, that means that you think we're better than everybody else. Hey, we are the best nation on the face of the earth. I mean, let's just get that on the board. But American exceptionalism means more than that. It is an admission of responsibility. It is accepting the fact that at this moment in history, God has given us a high duty, a high calling. And that calling and that duty, I want to say to you, is also our destiny. Our duty is our destiny. Because what we are called to do now is nothing less than save our republic for the future of liberty, for the future of the world. That's our calling. And I just want to say a word or two about that with you today. You know, every great civilization in the history of the world, every great civilization is built on a great faith. And ours has been built on a great faith. We're not supposed to talk about it anymore. We're told we're supposed to keep silent about it. But the truth is, this nation was founded on the fundamental faith that goes back to the Bible, the faith that we are all created equal, that our rights come from our Creator. That's the faith of this country. Abraham Lincoln called it our ancient faith. But the left, for 50 years now and more, the left has been assaulting that faith. It has been gutting the foundations of this great country, and they brought us today to this moment of crisis. It's an economic crisis, yeah, it's a cultural crisis, but above all, it's a crisis of the spirit. It's a spiritual crisis that we face in this nation today. What is it for the last 50 years that the left has been doing? Assaulting every foundation of our great nation. Well, they've assaulted our national sovereignty, have they not? This is a left that has opened our borders, that has turned over the safety of our streets and our children to the cartels. This is a left that has surrendered American sovereignty to the global organizations like the World Trade Organization, like the World Health Organization. This is, yeah, exactly, the worst. This is a left that has surrendered control of our economy to the global corporations. Yeah, they are globalists through and through. They've attacked our national sovereignty. They've attacked the family. Oh, that has been attack number one from the radical left for the last 30, 40, 50 years. This is a radical leftist movement that now says there is no such thing as man and woman. That there's no difference between male and female. You know, I had the opportunity a little over a year ago when I was in the United States Senate and a hearing on women's rights, by the way, a hearing on women's rights, and I just happened to notice that the star witness of the left, a professor from an elite university, wouldn't use the word woman. You know, it went on and on and on, and she wouldn't say the word woman. She kept saying persons with a capacity for pregnancy. So finally, it got to be my turn. You know, there are a lot of senators before me. I don't know if you've noticed, senators love to talk, you know. Have you noticed this? So I had to wait a long time. It got to be my turn, and I said, listen, I just have to ask you, when you say persons with a capacity for pregnancy, do you mean woman? And she said to me, get this, she said, oh, Senator Hawley, I would just like to point out the transphobic nature of your question. I said, transphobic, because I asked if you meant woman. We were talking about people who can get pregnant. She said to me, well, let me ask you a question. I said, sure. She said, do you believe men can get pregnant? And I said, no, I don't. She said, you're transphobic. And I said, you're crazy. This is insane. This is insane. The left has assaulted male and female. They've assaulted the family. They've sent our jobs overseas, the jobs that men in this country used to use to provide for a family. They've sent them overseas to China and then tried to replace men and fathers with government. That's what they've done for decades now in this country. And then they wonder why so many American kids are in crisis. It's because of what they have done to the family. And above all, the left has assaulted the very heart of our national faith. They've told us that we should do without God. Right? They've told us for years now that we can't pray at school, that we can't pray at work, that we shouldn't talk about God in the workplace. They've told you that when you leave your church doors or your place of faith, that you're supposed to leave your faith inside. And if you go into the workplace, well, my gosh, you talk about your faith, you're violating the diversity and inclusion and equity, right? You're violating that. Well, I tell you what, all of those requirements, those should die and faith should live. That's what should happen in the workplace and all over this country. They've tried to take faith out of every part of America. They've even said that if you have the audacity to want to bring your faith into politics, if you think maybe that faith has some relevance for how we live today, oh my gosh, you're a domestic extremist, you're a Christian nationalist, whatever the case may be. It is constant assault on faith in this country and our heritage of faith. And I'll just tell you what, here's what happens when you do that. You know, some people say that that's an assault on our religious liberty. And that's right, it is. It is an assault on our religious liberty. But it's more than that. It's an assault on our national character, because our national character is grounded in this faith. Listen, I've got right here the Declaration of Independence. And I'm going to read it now for some of our liberal friends who've never heard of it before. The Declaration of Independence, the founding document in many ways of this country, what does it say? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. That's right. And endowed by their creator. We are created equal. We're endowed by our creator with unalienable rights that the government cannot take away. But listen, if you take away the creator, you take away our equality. If you take away the creator, you take away our rights. And that's what the left has tried to do for 50 years. And here's what happens next. Here's what happens next. If you take away the creator, you take away our equality rooted in our God-given rights. You take away our unalienable rights, as Jefferson wrote in that document. If you do that, well, then it's no longer we the people who run this country, right? No, it's not we the people anymore. It becomes they the powerful. So now we've got a country that is ruled by the powerful rather than the people. Now we've got a country that is ruled by the self-appointed elite rather than the people in this room. Now we've got a country that is ruled over by the corporations and all the wokeists and all of the activists and the crazies, the powerful. That's what the left has given to this country, right? And what has been their goal at the end of the day? At the end of the day, it is to take away our faith. It is to take away our families. It is to take away everything that we define ourselves by that makes us who we are. And what do they want us to be? They want us to just do exactly as we are told and to buy the cheap stuff from China that they tell us we're supposed to buy, right? They want us to be androgynous consumers who just sit and consume and buy their stuff. They've tried to give us an economy that is of the corporations, by the corporations, and for the corporations. What we want to tell them is we want our country back of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we're here to get it. We're here to stand up for it. What the powerful have done in these 30 and 40 and 50 years has given us foreign wars without end. And now they've got another one started in Ukraine. They're happy to spend billions of dollars on military contractors to send our young men and women overseas to fight and die in foreign lands, but they won't lift a finger to actually bring jobs back to this country. They won't lift a finger to actually bring back good-paying, blue-collar jobs that a man could raise his family on. That's been their policy. Their policy has been to empower the big tech oligarchs who want to control our news, who want to control our lives, who want to control what you see and hear and think and say. Their policy has been to shut down our churches during COVID. Strip clubs could be open, but not churches. Go figure that out, right? Priorities. This has been the left's agenda. The rule of the powerful, taking away the rights of the people. And I'm just here to say, it is time we had a conservative movement in this country that was unafraid, that is willing to stand up for our ancient faith, for our core convictions. Because at the end of the day, the worst legacy the left has given us in their years of running this country is they have given us a soullessness that now is eating away at the heart of this country. Amen? You see it. I mean, just look at the numbers. Look at the number of young people in this country who are committing suicide, who are addicted to drugs, who are not even trying to work or find a job. Look at the number of people. I heard that. Look at the number of people who don't have a father growing up in the home, who don't know who their parents are, who have no hope for the future. It is a soullessness that they have put at the heart of our society. It is a crisis of the soul, a crisis of the spirit that the left has given to this country. And we need a conservative movement that is ready to stand up and answer the call that says we will fight for God, family, and nation. We will fight for the principles we were founded on. We will not be afraid. We will not back down. We'll give no quarter. And we will fight for the right of the people to govern themselves. We don't want to be ruled over anymore by the big tech oligarchs or the Dr. Fauci's or the experts in Washington. We want to govern ourselves. No, we need a conservative movement. God, family, nation. And as I just say this to my so-called fellow conservatives, Republicans, who for years have gone along with this globalist agenda, who've been right there happy to watch our jobs go overseas, to watch our whole communities be hollowed out, and all the time they come home and they talk about family values, family values. I just have this to say to them. There is no family value if there aren't jobs in this country for hardworking Americans. You cannot be for the family if you're not for jobs for the family. And there can't be a conservatism that just gives away our sovereignty to the global corporations. If you are for the globalists, you are not for America. It's just that simple. If you are for China, you are not for America. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. So here's the question. Here's the question I have for you. What are we going to do about it? What about what are you and I? What's our responsibility? And I just want to say this to you. I just want to say this to you. That everything the left has told us now for decades It really amounts to this. What they've really been telling us is this, is that our lives are small, that our lives don't matter much, that it would be better if we would just sit down and shut up and let them run the country. Do as we're told, stay in our lane, let them run the country. And I'm just here to tell you exactly the opposite is true. Your life has a destiny on it that will control the destiny of this nation. It is your moment in history now to change the destiny of this nation and to change the course of history. That is our duty. That is our responsibility. That's our call. That's the call of this generation. To change this country's future and to change the course of history. That's the course of this generation. That's your call. You have a destiny on your life. You have a destiny on your life. You know, it was John Adams, I think, who said that the Constitution of this country, the government of this country, the nature of our republic, it is fit only for a moral and religious people. It won't work for anybody else. You know, here's what he was saying. That liberty requires a great people. Liberty requires greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you it is a time for greatness. It is a time for us to respond. What kind of greatness do we need? We need the greatness of heart, the greatness of character, the greatness of courage. That's the greatness that we need. And it is up to us to rise to the occasion. This is a time for us to become again a great people who will rescue this nation, who will steer it toward a new destiny. And if we do that, we will change the course of history. Let me just tell you this. I know that these are difficult times, incredibly difficult times for our country. I mean, did you ever think we'd have a president, in all seriousness, did you ever think we'd have a president who would call half or more of the country domestic enemies? I mean, that's what the Constitution refers to traitors by that. Did you think we'd have a president who would say anybody who disagrees with him is a traitor? Did you ever think that would happen in this country's history? But here's the truth. Here's the truth. Is that in this moment of crisis comes an incredible moment of opportunity. And I tell you what, I got 3 little kids at home, my son Elijah, who's 10, my son Blaze, who's 8, and my daughter Abigail, who's 2 years old. And I tell you what, whatever else is true about this moment in history, it is a moment in history that matters. We don't live in quiet times. We don't live in times where everything is just going along easy, but we live in times of significance. And what a great privilege to live at a time when the choices that we make today will determine the future of this country for a century to come. That's a privilege. It's a privilege, and it's a responsibility. So I want to tell you this, I want to leave you with this. It is time for us to stand up and to answer our destiny. It is time for us to stand up and say that we, the people, are here to take our government back. It is time for us to stand up and to reclaim the conservative movement so that we can rescue America. It is time for us to stand up and to fight for our ancient faith on which this country was founded, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator, and we will not compromise on these truths. This is the time. This is the time. This is the time. It's now or never. So let's stand up together. You and I and people of goodwill everywhere. Let's stand up together to fight for this nation, to fight for our faith, to change the course of our lives and our history. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.